You are watching this video because a voice in your head keeps repeating the same thing. It is too late. You should have done this years ago. Who is going to hire someone your age now? And the worst part, some days you actually believe it. But what if I told you that voice is wrong? What if everything you have been told about age and career change is based on a world that no longer exists? In the next 10 minutes, I am going to show you exactly why being 40, 45, 50, or beyond might actually be the perfect time to make your move. Stay with me. This might change everything. Here is what I know about you. You have been thinking about this for a while. Maybe months, maybe years. You have probably searched career change at 40. Or is it too late to start over? More times than you would like to admit. Every time you consider making a move, the same fears show up. I have invested 20 years in this career. Walking away feels like throwing it all away. I have a mortgage, kids, bills that do not stop coming. I cannot afford to take risks. Younger people will always get picked over me. That is just reality. And unlike some 25-year-old with nothing to lose and no one depending on them, you have real constraints, real responsibilities, real consequences if things go wrong. I get it. I really do. But here is what I also know. You are still here, still watching, still searching for answers. That means something in you has not given up. And that matters more than you realize. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why the too old narrative exists, and why it is built on outdated thinking that no longer applies to your life. I will give you 3 evidence-based reasons why your age might actually be your biggest competitive advantage right now, and I will give you one simple thing you can do today, not next week, not someday, but today, to start moving forward. No hype, no empty positivity. Just honest truth you can actually use. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something. When did you first start feeling like it might be too late for you? Was it a specific birthday? Something someone said, a job rejection? I want you to really think about that moment, and then drop your answer in the comments below. When did the too old story begin for you? I read every single comment, and I think you will find you are not as alone in this as you feel. All right, let us break this down. There are 3 things you need to understand about age and career change. Point number 1. The timeline has fundamentally changed. When your parents entered the workforce, the average career lasted about 30 years. You worked for one company, maybe 2. You retired at 60 or 65. You got a pension. That was the model. That world no longer exists. Today, the average person will have 12 to 15 different jobs across their working life. Retirement age is stretching into the late 60s and 70s, not because people want to work longer, but because they need to. And they can, because we are living longer, healthier lives than any generation before us. Here is what this means for you specifically. If you are 45 years old right now, you potentially have 25 more working years ahead of you. That is not the end of your career. That is the halfway point. If you are 50, you likely have 2 full decades of work remaining. That is enough time to build an entirely new career from scratch and become genuinely successful at it. If you are 55, you still have 10 to 15 years. That is longer than many people spend in their first career. The too old thinking is based on a 1950s career model. But you are not living in the 1950s. The rules have changed, and they have changed in your favor. Think about that for a moment. The math simply does not support the too late narrative anymore. Point number 2. Your experience creates irreplaceable value. Here is something that might surprise you. Research from Harvard Business Review found that career changers over 40 often outperform younger hires in complex roles. Not sometimes, often. Why? because certain skills can only come from decades of living and working. Judgment. You have made enough mistakes to know a bad decision before you make it. You can see around corners because you have been there before. That kind of pattern recognition cannot be taught in a classroom or learned in a boot camp. Emotional regulation. You do not panic under pressure the way you did at 25. When things go wrong, and they always do, you stay calm. You problem solve instead of spiral. That is worth its weight in gold to any employer or client. Communication maturity. You know how to navigate difficult conversations. You know how to manage up, manage down, and manage sideways. You understand office politics not as a game to play, but as a reality to navigate. Network depth. You have spent 20 or 30 years building relationships. You know people in industries, companies, and positions that a 25-year-old has never even heard of. That network is a career change accelerator. Self-knowledge. You know what you are good at. You know what you hate. You know what environments bring out your best and which ones drain you. That clarity took decades to develop, and it is priceless. Here is the mindset shift I want you to make. When you think about changing careers, you are not starting from zero. You are starting from 20 or 30 years of accumulated wisdom, skills, and connections. That is not a disadvantage. That is a foundation most people would kill for. Which of these advantages surprised you the most? The extended timeline, the research about outperforming younger workers, or something else? Let me know in the comments. Type timeline if that reframe hit you, or experience if you had not thought about your skills that way before. I am genuinely curious what is landing for you. Point number 3. The market is shifting in your favor. Now, I am not going to pretend that age discrimination does not exist. It does. That is reality. Some employers do favor younger candidates, often for reasons that have nothing to do with capability. But here is what is also true. The employment landscape is changing in important ways. First, there is a documented labor shortage across many skilled professions. In the United States alone, there are millions of unfilled positions. Companies genuinely cannot find enough qualified workers. When demand exceeds supply, hiring criteria become more flexible. Second, employers are getting tired of turnover. Younger workers change jobs every 2 to 3 years on average. Training someone new is expensive. Having them leave 18 months later is even more expensive. More and more companies are recognizing that an experienced worker who will stay, grow, and contribute over the long term is actually the better investment. Third, certain industries actively value life experience, healthcare, education, consulting, coaching, financial advising, real estate. In these fields, being 50 does not make you less credible, it makes you more credible. Would you rather get life advice from someone who is 26 or someone who is 52? Exactly. The key is not to hide your age. The key is to position your experience as your competitive advantage. Instead of apologizing for your years, you lead with them. I have spent 25 years solving exactly these kinds of problems. I have managed teams through 3 recessions. I know what works when things get hard. I have built the network you are trying to build. That is not arrogance. That is truth, and when you own it, others believe it too. Let me tell you about someone who proves everything I have just said. Julia Child worked in government administration for most of her adult life. She did not even begin seriously learning to cook until her late 30s. She did not publish her first cookbook, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, until she was 49 years old. She did not become a television star until her 50s. Everything Julia Child is known for, the cooking empire, the cultural impact, the legacy that exists to this day, All of it happened after the age most people think it is too late. But here is the key insight. Her decades of living before that were not wasted time. All those years of traveling, experiencing different cultures, developing her palate and her patience, that was preparation. When her moment came, she was ready because of her age, not despite it, and she is far from alone. Vera Wang did not design her first dress until she was 40. Samuel L. Jackson did not get his breakthrough role until 43. Ray Kroc was 52 when he built McDonald's into an empire. Colonel Sanders was 62 when KFC took off. These are not exceptions. They are proof of what is possible when you refuse to let a number define your potential. Your experience is not a liability. It is preparation for what comes next. Here is my question for you, and I want you to really sit with this one. If you knew with absolute certainty that your age was not a barrier, what career would you pursue? What would you do if too old was not even a factor in your thinking? Do not censor yourself. Do not think about the how yet. Just answer honestly. Write it in the comments below. Sometimes naming the dream out loud is the first step toward making it real. All right, here is what I want you to do today. Not tomorrow, not when you have time. Today, take out a piece of paper or open your notes app. Write down this question at the top. What would I pursue if I knew age was not a barrier? Then set a timer for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes and write. Do not edit. Do not judge. Do not worry about whether it is realistic. Just let yourself answer honestly. This exercise does something powerful. It separates what you actually want from all the fears and practical concerns that have been drowning it out. You can deal with the logistics later, but first you need to know what you are even aiming for. Most people never give themselves permission to dream past 40. They spend so much energy on why they cannot that they never get clear on what they want. You are going to be different. 5 minutes, one question. Do it before you close this video. Here is what I want you to remember as you go back to your day. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to start building what comes next. The decades behind you are not lost time. They are your foundation. Your experience, your network, your wisdom, your resilience, these are the things that will make your next chapter your best chapter. The only question is whether you are going to let the fear win, or whether you are going to take one small step forward anyway. If this video helped you see your situation differently, subscribe to this channel. I post new videos every week specifically for people over 40 who are ready for their next chapter. This is your community. This is your resource. Hit the bell so you do not miss the next one. And before you go, drop a comment below. Tell me, what did you write down? What would you pursue if age was not a factor? I read every single comment, and I think you will find that when you write it down and share it, something shifts. You are not too late. I will see you in the next video.